Name's Niko Fotis. I'm a computer science major at Colorado State University. Grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, ultimately decided to pursue my education out here. I feel like my relationship with video games has always been close. Growing up, even when I was really little, I had two older brothers who were like 10 and 14 years older than me respectively. So like they kind of grew up in that like Nintendo age. I know they had the N64 and everything and their own like classics that I kind of partook in as a super little kid, where I remember like playing my GameCube. I think that was like the first console I had was like their GameCube, just being able to play games on that myself. My first spark into game development happened during COVID. I just got the news that, you know, everything was shutting down, classes went online. I suddenly had a lot more free time and was in my house a lot, and was at a time in my life when I was already starting to think of like, what do I want to do, you know? And I was like, I don't know, let me see what this like game development stuff is. Unity, like I just looked up how to get into game development, essentially. Found Bracky's, shout outs to Bracky's. He has a lot of game dev tutorials that are like super geared towards a beginner. But I ultimately decided I didn't want to commit to it like right then and there. I was like, I could get a CS degree, get some of those same skill sets that would be applicable, but then could also have the benefits of just like a computer science degree in general, right? I had that interest of gaming and already had that fundamental question of like, how was this made? Like someone made this. The first game I made, it's funny, it's because it's actually pretty similar to the one that I just like put out right now. It doesn't have a name because it never got far enough in like the development process to get the name going. And it was a top-down shooter like game that, you know, just twin stick shooter. You could use WASD to move, the mouse to aim. It's just funny, my very first game, I think in concept and a lot of the fundamental like qualities of it was this game I started to develop now, just, you know, with half a computer science degree under my belt and like other game dev experiences I went on. But like, yeah, it was very, very, very shit. So I have to be honest. So a game jam is essentially you get a theme, which could be anything, to build a game around in a specific time frame. And a common like format for that is 48 hours to complete a game. I have honestly attempted 3. The one I did complete, it's the little platform game I have called Time Squared. And that one I had, it was the Bracky's Game Jam. Again, shout out to Bracky's. It was a week-long game jam and the theme was Rewind. So it was a little bit more beginner friendly because I had a week instead of 48 hours. And that was definitely super nice. But I was actually able to complete a project, which was cool to me just because like, I had never done that before at that point in my life with like this super new thing being game dev, the like thing I'm into, and then I was actually able to complete it. And I was like, because of that like game jam, it like forced me to actually sit down and like get a completed idea in like, even if it is kind of basic or like prototypey. Game jams are so much about like, if you got a like completed product, like you won, like you succeeded, especially if it's like on like it matches the actual theme of the game. So Geomania is a game that I just put out. Geomania would be a game that's called a top-down twin stick shooter. It calls back to this more retro-y time of games, like the arcade era of video games, where back then you literally had one stick controlling your like player's movement and everything, one stick controlling your aiming. And now that, you know, as video games modernized, it can go down to like the WASD movement, people know as like one stick, and then like the mouse as the other stick. In its entirety, essentially, waves of enemies spawn. There's 20 waves. Between each waves, you get a reward, and you can spend that reward on upgrades to your character. And some of those are simple as just physical stats, your movement speed, or like they can get a little bit more complex. You know, there's a whole shielding mechanic and everything, and you can upgrade your shield or upgrade your grenade you have. And essentially, the main game loop is you want to upgrade your character in a way so that it can match the increased difficulty of the 20 waves that spawn in. When I first started doing it, and like literally like hit the create new project in Unity, the game engine I use, I literally just told myself, I want to make something better than kind of anything else I've ever made in the game dev realm. I put a lot more thought into like the actual game loop and what I wanted to make. what was the like end product, as opposed to just like, I'm developing a game and it'd be cool if my character could do this or like whatever. I was like, okay, like where is this going? There are a lot of challenges to developing a game that will be completely unique both to every single game we're trying to develop and the exact person and or people developing that game. If you're an artist trying to develop a game, you're gonna have a great time making an art style and cool animations and stuff if like you can animate or whatever, but then getting an actual coding, like, I don't know, coding that into game mechanics that feel good and function well is a completely own thing and it's a different beast. Whereas if you're someone who can code very well, you're gonna struggle with art. Let's see if I did it correctly. I have 15 out of 20 health. I get whatever shit. Did not work. For me, I think the challenge is really has been this balance of trying to wear every single hat there is to wear, where like right now I have a main prototype, I guess, that is on itch.io, and it's a product I'm like happy and proud of, like a final that was happy to put on itch.io. But like now I need to start thinking about marketing, because I eventually want this game to be on Steam. And a lot of it is also time management and balancing being a like healthy individual, I guess, or just like a well-rounded, healthy person, and tunnel visioning game dev sessions till like 4 a.m. or whatever, or just like, just be like, whoa, I should go outside, like, touch some grass, man. I'm working on it every day, but then I also feel like I'm putting in meaningful work and hours, and I can see development and progress while also maintaining like I have a happy like life and social life and like, I don't know, working out or whatever in other like areas in my life just away from game dev, and balancing all of it. It's hard. What is my goal for this game? When I first started it, it was like create something better than I had ever done, and I already feel like I hit it. So now what? And then it's like, okay, my goal is to get it on Steam. What does that mean? What final product do I actually want to get on Steam? I want to continue development. I want to get it to the point where like right now there's just like one kind of character you can play as. He's the same one he does with the same abilities, but I want to add other classes. I also want there to be like an infinite wave spawner, so that gets to the point of how far can you survive until it just gets to a point like literally you can't survive anymore. It's just too hard. Going into playing the role of the artist, I feel like I need to modernize and actually get my art style more developed, and I have ideas of like where I want this to go. I think part of that's scary, that I really don't know where it's going other than Steam, but then part of it's also like I'm just enjoying the journey. I'm not in a position where like I'm trying to be a full-time professional indie developer. I'm more so just a student working on a game in my undergrad. Even if the ultimate, like I were to put it out there and market, no one buys it, at least I could say I tried. Like, I tried to do something.